What is the definition of common sense? To me, it is a natural and right way of thinking which nature has blessed us with. You might have also heard that common sense is a sense which is not common. Without any intent of disrespect, I sometimes myself feel bewildered and unable to understand the way of thinking by such people. I mean, how easily can they ignore the natural way of thinking? Here, I would like to share an amusing, rather funny story where a mature person had a flight to go abroad. His house was situated at a 3 minute drive from the airport, so, in his opinion, he wisely decided not to reach the airport more than 1 hour to the flight, instead, 3 hours to the flight. When he left his house an hour before, by the time he reached the airport and the ticket counter, it was almost 50 minutes remaining in the flight to leave. In a very confident manner, he gave his passport to the airline officer and he asked for the boarding pass. The airline officer was a bit confused because the passport had a picture of a lady, which presumably was his wife, whereas there was no lady standing in front of the airline counter officer. The man was very confident who had to fly and he was whistling around, watching on his right and left in a very confident manner. Within few seconds, because of experience, the airline counter understood what happened actually. So he asked the passenger whether he had to fly or his wife. The passenger at this time was annoyed and he, in a very angry voice, said to the officer, "Do you see any lady around me? I'm here alone. That means I have to fly myself alone without my wife." Now it was difficult for the airline officer to control his smile, or he was very hesitant to speak. He, a bit in an embarrassing mode, he said, "Sir, you are right, but the passport you have handed me over is not yours. It is presumably your wife's passport." That brought a big shock to the passenger, and he was about to fall down when the other crew at the airport got hold of him and made him sit on a nearby chair and offered him some water, which helped him to retrieve from that extremely difficult and painful situation. I recall one of another amusing stories of very recent past a month ago. One of my close by elderly relatives had to fly to US States a month ago. His flight time was 7 p.m. Almost 2.5 hours before flight, we got a call from him asking his passport was missing, if we have his passport. We all met with a great chaos. Many cupboards, drawers, bed sheets, pillow sheets were searched into, but in vain. We all were extremely upset as he was. Finally, God the Almighty showed one of his other miracles, and from his own office drawer he found his lost passport. Now that was a sigh of relief, but the next question was, he needs 45 minutes to reach the airport. With that being done, only 45 minutes are remaining for the plane to take off. Would the airport staff or airline counter people entertain him? Because you have to be there at least 1.5, 2 hours before the flight to take off. God Almighty, the gracious and merciful, showed his mercy once again, and most presumably because of his old age benefit, they entertained him and the flight took off with him inside the plane, which was a big sigh of relief for myself and my relatives. These are just two stories of such kind, and I'm sure you might also have experienced few of such kind and few even of different nature in your lives. It just needs some presence of mind, planning in advance, homework, and you avoid such chaos. This is all common sense. You need not to be Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, Stephen Hawking, Carl Sagan, Arthur C. Clarke, Magnus Magnusson, Neil Tyson, or Michio Kaku. You just need to be an ordinary, normal man which God has made you and use the common sense which nature or God has blessed you with. Let's try to use this common sense, which is the right and natural way of thinking, in our day to day affairs, and let's share this message with our friends and relatives.